For today's cooking with Gerry video, we have some night before prep. So let's go to a shorter video from earlier. Part 1 is the pre-soak. Here I have raw barley and here are lentils. They were both washed beforehand and drained, and I put them in these containers. They'd been soaking for about 12 hours, changing that soaking water at about the halfway point. And it's also important to check to make sure there are no rocks, pebbles, anything that shouldn't be there. For example, in the barley, I found a few small black pebbles and a small rock about the size of my fingernail. So it's important to check just to see if anything has fallen in before it was packaged. Now I'm going to drain them and start the cooking process here in my saucepan with the water at a boil. And they're going to cook on a low heat. So with the barley, the husk is still intact. You may have seen it, which provides for a lot of great plant fiber. It just means more chewing to break up that plant fiber before going into your stomach. To repeat something from previous videos, the stomach wants the food to be already about 50% digested. That's 50. So adequate chewing to mix the food in your mouth with the digestive enzymes and to grind the food as much as possible before swallowing it and putting it into your stomach. So that cooked, I drained that soaking water, cooked for about 15 minutes on a low to medium boil. Then I turned the heat off, let it cool for about 10 minutes. Then I divided the lentils and the barley because there's too much for one meal. Here I have leftovers for my next meal. Then I put that second half into my saucepan with the cooking water, brought it up to a boil, and added 1 stalk of celery and 1 beetroot that were both washed and cut into smaller pieces. And I also added a handful of whole oat flakes because there was too much liquid, and the information I have says that if you have liquid and solid together in your stomach, you have a less efficient digestion. So I'm using the oat flakes to absorb that water. It's still a little bit liquidy, but I'm going to let it cool for about 10 or 15 more minutes, and the oat flakes will absorb most of the water. I also added some coconut oil, some salt, and some ground black pepper because I'm also going to add some turmeric that I pulled from plants in my garden, and information says you need black pepper with the turmeric to allow your body to absorb properly. And I'm also going to add some raw cocoa beans that I prepared from a cocoa bean pod, just removing the cocoa bean, letting it dry in the sun for a couple of days, and then peeling it. And that I also don't want to cook, as well as the turmeric, because they maintain more nutritional value if they're raw. So I'll add these at the very end when I serve it onto my plate. So I'm going to show you what it looks like, and you will have seen in the picture right at the beginning that it is a bit thicker than what you're going to see now. Let me turn the screen. So here is my breakfast, And right here, these are raw cocoa beans with the shell still intact. And here is the shell removed. The skin, I think, is okay. It's probably great plant fiber. It's just a bit tough to chew. And here is the turmeric from my little turmeric plants. Now this is a vegan meal, but you can add lots of ingredients. Sorry about the confusion. I have the microphone today because we're into the rainy season, and I have an aluminum roof above my head, which makes a lot of noise if there's heavy rain. So that's today's breakfast. Please try something similar. The barley takes a bit longer to cook than, say, white rice, but it has a lot more value for the body, and it's definitely a worthwhile grain to include into your meals. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.